Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, on the when I was changing the oil on the R1250GS, to change the oil, you have to remove the skid plate to drain the oil, and I really didn't think about getting a skid plate to the GS until I removed the OEM one, which is I mean, it probably does the job as not as a skid plate, but as more of a deflector, if anything. Um, And I thought, maybe I should look into a skid plate because I do plan on going off road here and there, and I would hate to poke a hole in that engine case or even dent the exhaust, right? So I was looking around at skid plates, and then I started to think, I've got Ricochet skid plates on my dirt bike, so why not go to their website and see what they have? So yeah, they actually make one for the GS. And I ordered one, and I'm gonna do a little video today comparing the two and installing them. Well, let's look at the skid plates, and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as the stock one being a little bit of a deflector, and the Ricochet maybe being an actual skid plate. I don't know how it compares price-wise to like SW Motec or Adventure Rider or any of those, but I mean, I'm happy with the price I paid for it. I think I'll have to look it up, but I think it was $290. Anyway, let's check them out. So here we go. There's the Ricochet skid plate and the OEM skid plate. We can look at the thicknesses here. I mean, obviously no comparison. The amount of coverage, it has an extra piece in the back there to cover the catalyst on the exhaust system. Obviously it's wider, comes up a little higher. The front bracket for the stock one is here. I do realize this front bracket is designed to actually crush a little bit if you hit something hard instead of applying that pressure to the engine cases, which is a really good idea. And here is the bracket for the Ricochet. It ties into the sides where the lower crash guards are bolted in. So that could be a mounting issue for me. I don't know. We'll have to see if it works with crash guards. Just looking at this thing though is obviously way more substantial than the OEM skid plate. And I kind of like the welds. Visible welds, pretty cool. I'm glad they didn't grind that off. It's heavy, and so it's going to add some weight, but that weight will be down low. And it should protect most of the exhaust and engine from anything I might hit. I won't be doing any single track work. Hopefully not crossing, rock gorges or huge logs. You never know though. Depends on how comfortable I get with the bike. But anyway, let's try to put it on. Like I said, since I have crash guards, it may be an issue bolting up that bracket, but maybe not. Let's see what we can do here. Well, as you can see, that wasn't too bad. I don't know if you guys have installed these aftermarket crash guards, but they don't line up perfectly, at least not every time. The last Givy or GV guards I put on a bike actually did line up perfectly. These, not so much. The holes, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with the flex and the welding and the cooling and all that stuff. But so like you have to, bend these pipes, not bend them, but flex them a little bit to get the bolt started. But this time around, they've been in place long enough that I think maybe the metal has adapted or whatever. But yeah, was able to take these out both sides, put the bracket on, put them back in, torque them, good to go. So now it's just a matter of bolting the skid plate back up as you would the factory skid plate. So let me give that a shot, see what we end up with. Okay, Ricochet skid plate for the R1250GS installed. Once the front bracket's lined up and you get all the bolts started, You can start to tighten those down, and it kind of automatically aligns the front bracket. Once the bottom bolts are all installed, you retorque the side bolts that hold the crash guards on the sides, you know, as well as the new bracket that holding the front of the skid plate up. That way it's kind of a self-aligning thing. So it has the same amount of bolts and pretty much the factory location. So difficulty as far as removing and replacing for oil changes shouldn't be, you know, anything more than the OEM skid plate, other than it's 3 times the weight. So a little more weight to deal with. The clearance looks good. There's a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch gap between the skid plate and the exhaust almost all the way around. There's one area on the other side that's tight. I'll have to keep an eye on it. There's an extension back here for the catalytic converter. Let's see, yeah, right there. A little extra wing added in, possibly to protect the header. We'll see if it's ever needed. Let's go around to the other side. Obviously the same wing. The new brackets utilizing the same bolt that holds on the crash guard. You can see it down there. Another wing. And oil level looks good. Top of the red line. Oh yeah. Right here is where it's a little tight. So there's a weld right here, and that weld down below is probably, and as far right here as well too, so you can see that. A little closer than 1/4, not much, but less than 1/4 inch. Have to keep an eye on that. If I develop any weird sounds or buzzing, I'll have to check and make sure that's not touching. If it is, we'll have to adjust it. You look at that and it looks pretty close, right? You gotta remember though, with this front suspension that BMW uses on the GS, the tire moves forward and upward when it compresses, not backward, like a standard set of shocks. So it'll never be any closer than that. So I think that'll be fine. And yeah, that's about it. I think it's a well-built, very sturdy skid plate. Hopefully I'll get to test it someday, but not too aggressively test it, if you know what I mean. I'll put a link to the skid plate in the description, and if you guys know of anyone, or if you yourself have experience with the Ricochet skid plate for the GS, please post below, whether positive or negative. I don't see too many Ricochet skid plates on GS's, so just curious. Thought I'd given an American company a try. I have Ricochet skid plates on both my KLXs, and they fit and work really well on those bikes. So I thought I would give them a shot at a skid plate on the GS. So anyway, hopefully you liked the video, and I'll see you guys out there. Ride safe.